This is Poetic Justice. I'm Jesha Miller, petitioner of the Constitution's checks and balances before the President of the United States. As you will see right here, yes, the White House, President Joe Biden, the Constitution checks and balances. Taking oath of office, President Joe Biden swore to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution, of which he was called upon to do as the first order of business immediately February the 5th, 2021, defending the Constitution checks and balances, which are an essential part of the Constitution, absolutely necessary to uphold the integrity of the Constitution, being extremely important to secure the rights of we the people, due to corruption and abuse of power by officials acting in defiance of the Constitution. You saw a great demonstration of this with President Trump and how everyone was treated in the invasion of the White House. Now, the first order of business, as you can see once again, for the President of the United States, immediately address the Constitution checks and balances petition by me, veteran Jesha Miller, which is an essential part of the Constitution, mandatory by law. Essential meaning absolutely necessary, extremely important. And as you can see, this arrived to the President of the United States, not once, but twice. Yeah, this is touche. Not once, but twice. Certified mail to the President of the United States. There the certified mail receipt number. And also, again, the President has received this, once again, by certified mail, of which he's been in office for 7 months and has failed, refused, evaded all of the superlatives of ducking and hiding his duty to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution checks and balances. The checks and balances, as I said, are for when the entire judicial branch of government is corrupt. In doing so, there's money involved. As you can see here, it says, immediately order the Treasury to disburse $3.141 billion owed Jesha Miller for a miscarriage of justice. And that is part of the guarantees of the Constitution for the next ones who occupy that office to assume responsibility for the debt. And as I showed you, the debt is $3.14 billion. Default miscarriage of justice. Now, the default has to do once again with the guaranteed right to due process. And as a black man and having due process, there must be someone of my race on that jury. But as I'm about to show you, they impose an all-white jury on a black man, which violates constitutional law number 250.2 with the 4 in parentheses. Here are the court trial transcripts, which are irrefutable evidence of which at this point there is no black people in the jury and there were no black people in the jury panel. We have a right to object to that. I can tell you that I don't believe the law will support it. I think that if we want to do that, Mr. Miller, we need to do it right now. And then, me being the defendant, I said, yeah, we'll do that. Object to that right now. As you see, these is facts from the court trial transcripts, which are irrefutable evidence that as a black man I was imposed an all-white jury. Here we go again. My client objects to the fact that none of the veneer men nor the jury are black people. He and that is based upon an assertion that he is entitled to a jury of his peers. Everybody in America know this, right? Well, some of the younger generation may not, so we got to go over it. The component of race should be included in the concept of peer. The fact that there are no black people within this veneer, I think this causes the jury not to be a jury of my client's peers. So, the judge is being told that this is an unconstitutionally impaneled jury of which my freedom was taken. And did I remind you that I am a veteran? So, by that, I mean, I don't think Indiana's in full compliance with the federal government motor voter registration law. As a result of that, we don't get a fair cross-section in the veneer, and as a result of that, my client's rights under the federal and state constitution to a fair and impartial jury, as mandated through the 14th Amendment and through the federal legislation, I think that's been violated. So, for the record, I make that argument as well. Once again, you see this is part of the trial transcripts that is irrefutable evidence impossible to deny or disprove. You cannot deny, and it says show it overruled, and then as the defendant I say there is a violation, Your Honor, show it overruled. He says okay, we're going to start. So when I say impose an all-white jury, that is fact. That being the case, then it's unconstitutional impaneled jury. You're violating my 14th Amendment right to due process and taking my freedom, imposing slavery upon a black man. This the guarantee means to assume responsibility for the debt. As these next ones coming in here, I filed this to Janet Yellen, Secretary of the Treasury, as filed in court. April 9th, 2021. Order Congress to hold President Joe Biden accountable for the Constitution's checks and balances petition when an entire branch of government is corrupt. When the United States Supreme Court is corrupt, its appellate court system that appeals from the state courts to the federal court to the appellate court to the United States Supreme Court. So, I've been through the process, through the procedures to reach the United States Supreme Court. Now, the second one says the Secretary of the Treasury, Janet Yellen, is ordered to disburse to veteran Jesha Miller $6 billion for imposed slavery prohibited by the 13th Amendment, a miscarriage of justice, denying due process to the 14th Amendment. All of these meet the requirements of guaranteed rights of we the people. So now it is Janet Yellen's turn to address this and disperse the now $6 billion for imposed slavery, of which they did. And all the way up to the United States Supreme Court, so that means the entire branch of government is corrupt and abuse of power, which justifies me as a citizen petitioning the Constitution checks and balances, which means they must be checked. They fail and refuse to comply with the Constitution checks and balances being checked, and therefore owe me $6 billion. Now, to solidify that, as I said, this here filing is April 9th, 2021. This here filing is June 10th, 2021, because they've continued refusing to cede to the demands of the Constitution, which demands that the judicial branch be checked. And also, because they impose slavery to pay, or the Treasury to disburse, meaning the same thing, pass out the money, disburse this money to me, of which, as you see, United States Attorney General Merrick Garland and Janet Yellen received this as, once again here we go. Janet Yellen received this, certified number right there, April 16th, 2021. January, February, March, April. 4 months ago, and no money. So she violates Title 18, Section 241, conspiracy to deny rights and oppress. You see, due to the government corruption, which started at $50 million, due to continued oppression, is now $6.75 billion. That means they had no intentions of paying, and the incoming Secretary of the Treasury, Janet Yellen, has continued to refuse to address this. I went to Washington, D.C., set up an appointment to see Janet Yellen, of which they refuse to see me to address this at all. They have no intentions of complying with the demands of the Constitution. Therefore, as I said, this is a criminal act. Then now the FBI, because there is no sheriff's department in Washington, D.C., only the police, Metro Police, run by Chief Robert Conte, who also has failed to execute the indictments and arrest for Janet Yellen refusal to pay $6.75 billion. I am, by law, a billionaire, of which I am a black man, of which she refuses to pay. That's continued oppression. Now, this is backed up that the entire judicial branch of government is corrupt by the United States Supreme Court being involved in opposing the slavery. As you see here, a writ of certiorari and the habeas corpus. Now, the habeas corpus is for when a citizen is held illegally in prison, is to be brought before the court and to prove why this person is illegally in prison. This they also refuse to do. This is the racism and discrimination and inequality in America. Now, being the petitioner of the Constitution's checks and balances, which went before the President of the United States, I now am empowered. It empowers the citizen. Here we go. Transfer of power. As you see, the checks and balances empower the citizen to uphold the integrity of the Constitution, giving me, Jesha Miller, the authority or powers to give orders, make decisions, and enforce obedience of the Constitution's checks and balances, requiring the judicial and legislative branch to be checked for corruption and abuse of power, of which the President himself is obligatory both morally under the Code of Ethics and by law. This is the law. So, having said all of this, and evidence that the United States Supreme Court itself is involved in the imposed slavery, as they were petitioned writ of certiorari using the Constitution's checks and balances, which states petitioners entitled to injunctive relief for my immediate release from illegal imprisonment with reparations from judgment of the proceedings in the Indiana Vandenberg Circuit County Court that was so lawless that imprisonment pursuant to them is void, and therefore res judicata is inapplicable in a habeas corpus proceeding. The imprisonment cannot be shown to conform with the fundamental requirements of due process and the use of perjured testimony, and therefore the petitioner is entitled to his immediate release, of which I was not released. They continued the illegal imprisonment using unconstitutionally impaneled jury, of which I just showed you there was no black people. So not even the United States Supreme Court was honoring our right to freedom as black people, which also, as I said, sometimes you say a mistake can be made, but this was done twice. Once again, it's filed February the 22nd. Petition requires the judiciary to account for a man's imprisonment. The judiciary or the justices of the Supreme Court, which must review and give judgment affirming or reversing a conviction, of which I already showed you the trial transcripts, which affirmed that there were no black people, so this is an unconstitutionally impaneled jury which imprisoned me, which is in violation of the Constitution, Sixth Amendment, right to a fair trial by a fair and impartial jury. Here we have it once again. They did this twice. That means that the United States Supreme Court itself is corrupt. That means that I'm justified in using the Constitution checks and balances. That means that they must be checked, and by Secretary of the Treasury refusing to address this is continued oppression, a criminal act under Title 18, Section 241, conspiracy to deny rights and oppress. Now, as I said, I'm a veteran, served to protect the right to freedom, justice, and equality in America. And you come back, and this is the racism that we've all gone through. Also, as me being empowered by the Constitution checks and balances, I'm empowered to stop police brutality. To be empowered to stop police brutality, I have to have power over law enforcement. This includes the FBI, the sheriffs, and the police departments to execute these indictments filed in the federal court. As you see, they were filed in the federal court. That's right. And as me being empowered, I have ordered the FBI, the director, Christopher Wray, has refused to address the Constitution checks and balances, has failed to arrest anybody, so they also must be removed from office. So now, as I said, I'm owed $6.75 billion, of which the Treasury Secretary is Janet Yellen, who refuses to address this. And I've made several appointments with her to affirm those, so I can go to Washington and address this and pay me my money. Now I'm in a whole nother class. See, I'm no longer a worker. That gives me a status quo, meaning that this exists, that being the petitioner of the Constitution checks and balances, I have a status quo politically, having the authority to give orders, to enforce obedience to those orders, and to make decisions. Also, a status quo socially with a net worth of $6.75 billion now. So now I open up the door for us to have banks that will loan the lower class people money, having the money to build housing, to build schools, to build colleges for us, and that's not being done. I just saw 2 people on one block being evicted. Then, with me having money, we have money for those people that are being evicted as a result of COVID-19. They have help other than help from the federal government, other than help from a stimulus thing for $1,400, for $600, for $1,200. And as me being the petitioner of the Constitution checks and balances, I've only received one of those. And as me being on unemployment, the government cut off my Social Security. I didn't work all my life. I'm at the age of getting Social Security, and they cut that off for 7 months to run me into bad health and possibly take my life has been threatened by the bad health and not having food and all of this kind of stuff. When by law I'm a billionaire. So by law, the FBI must arrest Janet Yellen in the next 2 days. As today is August the 7th, that would be Monday, August the 9th. Should the FBI refuse or fail as they have done, Stephen D Antuono having the Washington field office, I've been there too, made appointments to see him through emails. None of these people are trying to see me. A black man empowered now. What they said, it ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun. And this is inevitable. This is a statutory prohibition under Title 18, Section 241, once again. Section 243, imposing an all-white jury on a black man. All of these are criminal acts. That prohibition prohibits the courts from doing this, which they have done, but they've not been made public. They have to be made public. ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox News, everybody has to be on this, because by the rule of law, as the petitioner of the Constitution checks and balances, the entire judicial branch of government must be checked and must be held accountable for imposing slavery prohibited by the 13th Amendment. This is what you did, so pay me my money. Janet Yellen. There it is. You have it. I'm breaking all of this down. I'm going to break down, that's Janet Yellen. I'm going to break down President Joe Biden. As I said, he took oath to protect, preserve, and defend. He's supposed to be defending the Constitution, checks and balances. He's concealing it. That's a criminal act. Title 18, Section 1001, that's a criminal act. He must be held accountable for criminal acts. He can no longer be the president. This is what they must be addressing. This is how President Trump was running this, knowing that the entire government was corrupt. The president must address this. He took oath to defend the Constitution. Checks and balances. They must be checked, and the scales of justice must be balanced, which have never been done in America. Here I am, trailblazing. veteran, unprecedented petitioner of the Constitution, checks and balances, unprecedented having evidence the entire judicial branch of government is corrupt, unprecedented, pay me my $6.75 billion when you took office. That's how long ago. And it continued oppression. So, there you have it. Janet Yellen, you got to leave office. FBI, you have a duty to arrest her. And as I said, Stephen D Antuono, you are the assistant director of the Washington field office. Do your duty. You have until Monday to do that. Then we bring in the National Guard. Thank you very much. America, I'm standing up for all Americans. It's a showdown. It's showtime. Put up or shut up, and they can't see me. Yeah, I'm talking about it. I can stop police brutality, inequality, and social injustice. That's by the rule of law. Pay the money. Again, $6.75 billion owed to Shay Miller, the veteran who standing up for all America so we can have justice in America. You just seen what the Trump thing did was. Now they trying to do it up undercover with Biden. No, you cannot do that. As you see, the President of the United States has been petitioned. Oh yeah, they received that. I told you twice. The President received this by certified mail, and yeah, so did Janet Yellen. She must be held accountable for continued oppression, and the people put their trust in you, and now you didn't do your job, so now it's time to go. Holla back.